Innovative Forex news trading. Simple but yet powerful techniques to help you profit from major news events. There are two kinds of people in the world. There are some people who think that they know it all, and there are the others who know that the true path to success is through acquiring new knowledge constantly. I'm so glad that you belong to the second category. The very fact that you're watching this video tells me that you want to keep on learning, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. Today we're going to discuss the innovative Forex news trading. Now, what is Forex news trading? Forex news trading is taking advantage of the anticipation, reaction, and follow through of major news events. Now, what are major news events? Major news events are events which significantly alter what the market already knows. Let us assume that a country declares a war. That will be a major news event. Or a major disaster. That would be a major news event. But in our presentation, I'm not going to talk about random events. I'm going to talk about specific events which we know would be released at predetermined times. Now, what are these events? Each and every major country has something called economic indicators. These indicators are like the vital statistics of that country. Based on these indicators, people know whether a country is doing well, what part of the country is doing well, what's different categories that particular country is measured to is doing well or not. And this information is released in an organized, predetermined factors you'd know months in advance. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about taking advantage of such events. Now, you'd ask, why news trading? Why bother about news trading? If you've done any research on Forex, you'd come across a lot of Forex mentors and gurus and technical analysts say that everything is already priced into the market, and maybe news trading or the market events are already priced into the price, and that's the only thing which you should be looking at. I'd beg to differ. I think that yes, there are certain news events which are priced into the market, but if there is a surprise factor, that is what creates a market direction. Now, the market may or may not go into the direction of the news, but the very fact that the market reaction to what the news was can tell you where the market is headed. So why news trading? First of all, it gives me a time anchor. When I started trading the markets, you know that Forex is a 24-hour market and can drive you insane. You wouldn't know when to start, when to stop, when to look at the markets. There'd be different techniques. You'd become a zombie looking at the markets maybe 24 hours a day. And that was me not too long ago, about 8-10 years ago. I would constantly look at the markets and try to predict where it's going to go, and that drove me crazy. Not only affected my health, it affected my personal life, because I was trading all the time. That's not the correct way of looking at this kind of trading, at least not in my opinion. For me, Forex news trading is a time anchor. What do I mean by a time anchor? It tells me when these events are going to be out, so I can be prepared to trade them. If I know it's going to be out at 8:30, I can be prepared at 8:30 and trade that. So So the most important reason why I choose Forex news trading is not time anchors. It is because it gives me quick results. There are certain kinds of trading which I have to wait for days and days at advance, or there are certain kinds of trading wherein to understand whether a particular method is working or not, it takes a lot of time, maybe a year or two, and then you, at the end of it, you realize that all your time and effort in understanding that method does not work. With news trading, it gives me really quick results, and that, coupled with that it anchors my time, is the reason why I like to trade the news. Besides, it gives me low risk and high reward trade setups. Now, what do I mean by low risk and high reward trade setups? It means that I risk maybe 20, 30 pips, 40 pips, and I target maybe twice that, thrice that, or at least 1:1. Now, depending on the kind of Forex news trading, it gives me a profitability of about 60 to 80%. So 60 to 80% of the times I win, 40 to 20% is when I lose. And it gives me a profit factor of 1.25 to 2.25. Now, for people who do not know what the profit factor is, let me on the onset say that Las Vegas has a lot of the games in the casinos of Las Vegas have a profit factor of about 1.1. So anything above 1.1 is a good thing. If you can have an entire casino set up on a profit factor of 1.1, and if you have something which gives you a profit factor of 1.25 and 2.25, it's a fantastic deal, isn't it? Now, what is a profit factor about? Let's say if I were to toss a coin, and heads I gain $1 and tails I lose $1, then if I do this infinite amount of times, I'll probably be at zero. I wouldn't have made any money or lost any money. A profit factor, if I am to toss a coin and that coin, if it lands on heads, gives me $2, and if it lands on tails, I lose $1, then basically we have a profit factor of 2. So if I do this infinite amount of times, I'll most likely be very, 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 very profitable. So any trade idea which you need to consider, perhaps the most important thing where you look at is the profit factor. Now, what are the types of news trading? Like I said, pre-event trading, that's anticipation of what the news will be. Event trading, that is reaction to that particular new event. And post-event trading, that is follow through of that particular news event. Let's look at these in detail. What is pre-event trading? What is anticipation? Now, there are certain things which are market sentiment based pre-event trading. You could have a risk appetite sentiment, risk aversion sentiment. So there are certain, let's say if there is risk appetite sentiment which is going on in the market, then do what you may, or whatever the news is out, the market reaction preceding that news is going to anticipate that the news is going to be wonderful, and it's going to bid up the commodity currencies, or the details of which I might not want to talk to you right now because it might confuse a lot of people, but you could trade the anticipation of the event based on what the market sentiment is about. Then we have fundamental sentiment based pre-event trading. Now, what is fundamental sentiment? There are certain news events which give you a clue onto what the other event might be. For example, an ADP number or an ISM manufacturing number has an employment component to it. Now these are released before the employment numbers from USA. So if you know what the employment components of the ISM manufacturing is, as well as you know what the ADP numbers are, you could safely predict how and what the non-farm payrolls numbers might be. Then you have market research based pre-event trading. There are certain companies which conduct research on Main Street. Now they give you the result of their research before the news event is out. Let me take housing numbers for the matter. These research companies research the similar database of people the major news event is going to research. Now they give you this information beforehand, and I've seen them have an accuracy of 80 to 90%. So most of the time they're pretty accurate. The advantages are that there are no pressure in entries. It's in line with the technicals. And the disadvantage is that it requires a great deal of knowledge and experience to be able to trade something like this. And it's not a rule-based system. I cannot go back in history and try and find out what these events or what the fundamental sentiment was or market sentiment was, and make an algorithm and find out what my profitability is, so on and so forth. It is very discretionary.